This is chapter 1, computer and its components of class 10. So what we are going to see today means in various part of the series is that we'll list computer applications which we use in daily basis or on daily basis. We try to identify different input and output devices, the process of changing, that is IPO, input to output, the connectivity of devices with different kind of ports, differentiate between the primary and secondary memory, different softwares, the purpose of these softwares, and then according to the size and the processing capability, we try to see the difference between different type of computers. So the computer is a dead machine. It is nothing but collection of plastic, silicon and metal. Once you pass electricity, it powers on. Even at this stage, computer is not aware what to do. It needs to be told. So we need some software, some programs, some instructions for computer to actually do some work. So the computer today is actually the fundamental part of information age. Now we use computer. Your handheld mobile which you are holding right now is also a type of computer. Previously, the computers were developed for mathematical operation, just to simplify and do it quickly. But then now most of the things have changed. Apart from this always became, or this is always the basis. But now the storage is also a key issue, and we'll start with discussing the data and information. So what exactly data and information is, or what is the difference between a data and the information? Say you collected certain data, name, age, 32, some number, years and old. Now this is a random data. It consists of facts, figures and symbols. Let me combine it for you. Ram is 32 years old, or Ram's age is 32 years. So what we have done is, we have taken these data and combined it. Now this line or this sentence is an information, because this is meaningful. So an organized, meaningful and useful data is nothing but the information. So computer now can be defined as the advanced electronic device which will take raw input as from the user, and it uses the set of instruction, we call it as program, set of instructions to process the data and then provide the result to us, that is the output. And the result can be saved for further use or future use. We'll talk this component and other parts with respect to hardware and software. So what exactly the difference between hardware and software is? At the simplest level, because the computer has two basic components, hardware and software. Hardware is defined, or you can say that it is known by the physical structure which can be seen or which can be touched. So it is tangible. It is tangible. And then software. Software is intangible. You cannot touch it, you cannot feel it, but you can easily see what is going on, because it is clearly, the effect is clearly defined. Now apart from this, or you can say in hardware you have input devices, output devices, system units, storage devices, communication devices. These are all the components of the computer hardware. So this one word include most of the things. Hardware components now can be classified into different categories, as we have just seen now. First is our input devices. You need to say somebody that you do this certain task so that he can do that task. So you have to give some input, like a human being. He has sensory organs. He sees, he listens, he tastes, and then this is the input of a human being. In a similar way, a computer has the input as keyboard, mouse. See, this is mouse, keyboard, microphone, scanner, trackball, joystick, graphic tablet, digital camera. These all are the input devices. So the functions of the input devices is that they are going to accept the data and the instruction from you, that is a user. They convert this instruction and data from human readable form to machine readable form. Means you know what is going on here, because this is in English, but computer doesn't know it. Computer only knows 0110, that is the binary form or the machine form. So they supply this converted instruction, this one machine readable instruction, to the CPU for further processing. The output devices, because we have sensory organs, and we can see, and we can then see the output. Okay, this is red color, this is a TV, this is a road, this is a van. So output devices means those or these devices are going to give you or a user an output. This can be a VDU or visual display unit, a monitor, a printer, a plotter, or even a speaker which gives you the output as sound. So the function of output devices now can be summed like this. It accepts the results which are produced by the computer, which is in the coded form and machine readable form. Now it converts these coded results into human readable form, human understandable form, and it supplies the converted result to the user. Then we come to the storage devices. Storage device where your information, or you can say data, are stored. So these are the devices which are used to retrieve from and save to the data and information such as hard drives, memory sticks like the pen drives, CDs, DVDs, and tape drives. So the floppy disks, these were developed in 1960s, and these you can see this were developed, and this is made up of, see, this is the outer casing. This is the outer casing which is hard plastic protects the plastic disc, and inside this you have a circular thin plastic jacket coated with magnetic material which will store the data. And you see that even today if you download an MP3 song, it will be around 3 to 5 MB, but this floppy drive this was only way to have a storage. This was having only the capacity of 1.44 MB data. You can understand that. And these disks are now outdated and nobody use it now. Now you have hard disk. So this is the hard disk. This is made of your metal disk which is coated with your metal oxide, which is used to store bulk of the data. And this data can be, can be of hundreds and tens of gigabytes. We'll talk about this gigabytes just now. So this is the hard drive. See, first of all, you have this base casing. This is the spindle. This is the slider. This slider goes to that particular point where the data is. You have this actuator arm. This is the actuator axis, and this is actual actuator. This is the actuator. This is your SCSI interface connector. You also call it as SCSI. This is the jumper. These are the jumper pins. This is the power connector. These are all different platters in the form of say, you can say discs which are placed one on another. Then you have this ribbon cables attached. This attaches heads to logic board. This is your case mounting where you're going to place it on the cabinet. This is the cover mounting holes. Cover is not shown here actually. Then this is the CD-ROM or CD-ROM. This can be in two flavors. It can be CDR, CDRW, CDR. This stands for compact disk, and around 700 about data MB data can be stored, but only once. But CDRW, the compact disk, because the data can be stored and then can be erased and again can be stored. So this is rewritable. RW stands for rewritable. DVD is digital versatile disk, and this has the storage in the form of optical storage. So these are optical storage disks, which is actually similar to CD, but the data is stored double-sided with dual layer disk, and this holds around 4.7 GB of data. Then we come to Blu-ray disk, which is holding more than 25 GB of data. So you can have say BD Blu-ray disk around 30 hours of video, and if you have a double layer BD, you can save up to 20 hours of video. Then we come to USB, Universal Serial Bus. We have now reached to 3.1, so it is giving 1 Gbps and more of the speed, means the data transferring speed. So this is a portable memory device. We all are using it now, which is used to store data that needs to be transferred to the other device using the USB port. We'll be discussing this shortly. Then we have this memory card. You are aware, if you have a mobile, this card you will find it. These are the memory card or a flash memory card. These are also memory devices, and they are used as the easiest, fastest and reliable medium now to store and transfer data from one device to another. So these are used in your digital cameras, game consoles and mobile phones. Now we come to the CPU, Central Processing Unit. So the system unit is actually the box, the cabinet which you see is actually just a box, right? and somebody would say it is a form factor. So this or cabinet, this protects the internal electronic component from the damage, and it contains inside it a CPU and a memory. So the CPU interprets or understands and carries out the basic instruction that operate the computer, and memory is where the data and the instructions are held. So the processor unit is the heart of the computer. Heart, it is not the brain, but the heart of the computer. It contains of ALU, that is arithmetic logic unit, and it executes most computer operation, this arithmetic and logical. And the control unit is like your brain. The nerves here work as the signal, so it sends control signal to all other units. So this control unit and ALU, they are quite fast. They are very fast than other devices which are connected to your computer system. So this would enable a single processor to control a number of external devices like the video terminals, magnetic tape, disk memories, the sensors, the displays, and the mechanical controller, since they have a slower speed than the processor. Processor is real quick. Memory. So there are two types of or two categories of memory if you divide them broadly. First is primary, second is secondary. You also call this secondary as the external memory. So primary memory is very fast because the data and programs, it has to be in primary memory for execution. So RAM and ROM, random access memory and read-only memory, these are both primary memory. The random access memory or RAM is, or this refers to the memory that can be selected and used randomly. The information here disappears or they are lost when the machine is turned off or the power is turned off. So this is why this is called as a volatile memory. While the ROM is permanently built into the computer at the time of production. You will see when your computer boots up, it will show HP, somebody will show IBM, and other information also. So the information that this memory can only be read, it is not possible to write fresh information in it because this is already hardwired, and the information stays there because it is non-volatile. Okay. Then the secondary memory or auxiliary memory, the content of the RAM actually we saw is erased when the power is switched off. So it becomes very important for us to have some scenario so that we can save the data for future use. So primary storage is expensive, so we need this backup storage. For that we have secondary memory. This is also an important part of the computer. Now before we go ahead, let us talk about the memory. See, this 0, 1, 1, 0, these are all bits. They are bits, means binary digit, so it can be 0 or it can be 1. So if you combine 4, means 0, 1, 0, 1 type of combination, you call it as 1 level. If you combine 8 of these, means say I'm just writing some random number, I don't know what it is, but let me count it. These are 8. So these are 8 bits, we call it as 1 byte. You have 1000 bytes, it becomes kilobyte. You have 1000 kilobytes, you get 1 MB. And likewise, you go up to 1 petabyte. Let us see the software now. So software, we can divide into two major parts, that is the application software and the system software. So a computer system hardware will only function when it has some software. Application software are those software which are for our use, means they may be general purpose like your Tally, etc., or Word, you can say MS Word, presentation softwares, and tailor-made, specifically made for your purpose. Then we have system software like the operating system and the utility software. Application software, what are these application software? See, that you want to carry out certain task. It may be specific to you, it may be specific to some people, right? For that, we need some application software to solve your problem or to computerize your stuff. For example, you can have a word processor, for example, this OpenOffice or MS Word, etc. For calculations, if you want, you can have this spreadsheet like the openoffice.org spreadsheet, MS Excel. For presentation, you can have Impress, PowerPoint. For designing or DTP, you can have GIMP, Adobe, Photoshop, CorelDRAW, Picasa, etc. At the same time, you can also need, or you may need, some specialized need software. That means some accounting software for users which are not individual, but there are a big group of users or a company handling of company stuff. For that you need this Tally, QuickBooks, etc. System software, that those software that will enable the computer hardware to work with and run the application software. So you have application software. Now you need some system software to run it on the computer. For that you have this system software. So these system software are actually the interface between user and the other programs and also the computer hardware. Then the system software, now we have seen that the categories of system software includes the operating system and the system utilities. Operating system is, you can say, the key manager. Manager of a company, same way the manager of a computer is your operating system. So it manages everything, right from what you click, what you see, how your resources are managed, some deadlock is there, everything, file handling, your memory utilization, everything is the, you can say, the management part of the operating system. Utility software, see, if you have an operating system, you will find some software already or some application already there. So these are used to analyze, configure, optimize, or maintain the computer. These are your utility software. This also, you can say that some housekeeping functions needs to be there. That means your house need to have a gate, and that gate need to have a bell, like this. So a text editor like your WordPad, Notepad. Compression utilities to compress the files like WinZip, WinRAR, etc. And then disk fragmentation, if you want to compact the size of the disk fragmentation. If your disk has some bad sector or viruses, then scan disk is always there. If you want to send data through some secret key and you want to decipher it, or you want to get the actual data by decrypting it, you have encryption and decryption for you. Then the characteristic of computer, how you are going to know that this computer works for this computer is used for this. For that, you need to have certain characteristics of a computer. For example, the speed. Speed of a computer is quite faster. The processors are very fast today. The accuracy is, if you put garbage, you will get garbage. If you put good stuff or the instructions are good, you will get the required result. No IQ. Please understand, if the instructions are not given properly, computer has no IQ. Whatever you give, it will run exactly like that. Diligence. The same task can be done over and over again without even tiring by the computer. This is the characteristic of a computer. Data storage. It can store huge amount of data and information for long period of time, till the time that storage is working. No heuristic. We have known that the computer is a dumb machine, meaning machine with no brains. But human being can learn from its past, but this computer or machine has no heuristics. Then we come to the generation of computers. See, we say that our ancestors were somewhat like monkeys. Now we are full grown human being with intellect, a good looking human being, well built, going over 6 feet. So every new generation is, say, taller and more intelligent than the previous one. In the similar fashion, generation of computers are there. Previously, these were built on vacuum tube technology, and in fact, the first electronic computer was designed and built in University of Pennsylvania, and this was based on vacuum tube technology. So according to the development of technologies, how processors were fabricated, the memories and the input-output units, computers have been divided into 5 generations. We are now, when I am presently talking, we are now in 7th generation. But because we have to know the past, the first generation from 1945 to 1955, they were bulky, they were vacuum based, were costly. And they used no high level language but assembly language, which are then translated to the machine language, that is 011 type language, and mostly for scientific calculation like ENIAC, EDSAC, EDVAC, UNIVAC. Then the second generation, 55 to 65. Smaller than the vacuum based computers, but the performance were good because now the transistors were used instead of the vacuum tube. High level languages, English like languages like the formula translation or Fortran, COBOL were used. And point card actually continued during this period. So the example were IBM 7030, Honeywell 400. Then the third generation, 65 to 75. SSI or small scale integration and medium scale integration MSI technology were implemented in CPU and input output processors. And faster processors with the magnetic core memories were developed, replaced by actually RAM and ROM. And microprogramming was introduced, as were operating system software, OS were introduced. Database management systems, multi-user applications, the online system like the closed-loop process control, also the utility services like airline reservation, the interactive query systems, automatic industrial control all began in third generation. The good example and the most popular one were System 360 mainframe from IBM, PDP-8 from DEC, Digital Equipment Corporation. Then the fourth generation, 75 to 89. And here microprocessors were introduced, and now the main memory also these can be introduced and they can be placed in the single so you can say chip. Then CRT screen, the printing material like laser and inkjet printers were introduced, the scanners were there, LANs, WANs were introduced, and C language and Unix were used. These are all the examples of fourth generation. Fifth generation, that is 1989 to present. Actually, it is not present. Let me tell you that we are in seventh generation. So in this, the parallel processing, multiple pipelines, multiple processors like the dual core, quad core were introduced. Portable notebook, we also call them as laptops, were introduced. Programming languages were enhanced to object-oriented paradigm like the Java. The quantum mechanism and the nanotechnology radically changed the computers. So the categories of computer, again we say that the categories, how to categorize, they depend on the size and the functioning and the processing capabilities. So the functions, according to the functions, the computers can be classified into three categories: analog, digital and hybrid. Hybrid is the combination of analog and digital. So analog, if you go to the Webster dictionary, computers in which a continuously variable physical quantities like the electric potential, the fluid pressure or mechanical motions are used to represent analogously this way, okay, to solve certain problems are called the analog computers. And if we take the sample, quantize it, then it becomes digital, 0, 1, 1, 0 form. So these were the digital computers. So the computer deal with the data in the form of these numbers. They mainly operate by counting and performing the arithmetic and logic operations on numeric data, this data. The hybrid is the combination of analog and digital. When we talk about the size, then the computers can be classified into palm top, laptop and notebook, personal computer, desktop, then the microcomputer, mini computer, mainframe and supercomputer. Supercomputer are the fastest type of computer. They are used to do some specialized job. So here we are dealing with the fewer programs, but the speed is immaculate, high speed, great speed, and all the problems of high end like the quantum mechanical physics, weather forecasting, climate research, molecular modeling, and various like the cryptanalysis all are done using the supercomputers. Then the next one or the lower one, this is the highest one, lower one is mainframe. They also have high speeds but less than these supercomputers. So they are used in banking, airlines and railways. Then we have mini computers. They have more power than the microcomputer, but less than the mainframe. They are somewhat less expensive, and performance is lower than mainframe. The microcomputers, this came into being when the microprocessors were invented, and they're also not so expensive. The personal computer is a microcomputer. This is your personal computer. Okay. Then desktop is on your desk it can be placed, so it has a permanent location. It is not portable, or it is not used portably. The desktop computer is this PC which is having high performance and heavy workload, right? Like the complex graphics, and also some memory or computing intensive applications are used to the desktop is used to solve them. They are more reliable and have less downtime than the previous one of desktop, or the lower grade is PC, which is small size and designed generally for single person. The laptop and notepad, these you can place it on your lap, so these are portable computers. They have inbuilt battery. Then palm top, these are very small PDAs, very small, lightweight, tightly integrated computers, and they are generally the data is inputted through touchscreen. So these are all, first your palm top, higher one is laptop, then PC, then desktop, then microcomputers, then mini, then mainframe, and the highest one is your supercomputer. The application of computer, see, computers are now the most important tool used by human beings. As I mentioned earlier, the mobile in your hand is a kind of mini computer, only actually smartphone, because it has Android, it has operating system, it has processor. So all the characteristics of a computer lies there. It is very important nowadays. When we talk about IPO, that is input, process, output. So this is a cycle basically. IPO is input, you give some input, you get some output, and in between you have some processing. Because as said in the book, computer is not a magic box. Nothing is done automatically. You have to feed certain things, you have to give the instructions. Those things are only automated, and they can be done again and again, over and over again, without tiring. And that can be represented, the result can be represented in the human readable form. So this is the input. Whichever input you give, the output you get. Inside this, you have a processor, or processing is done with the help of the memory. So to make a cup of tea, just take an analogy that you need say some ingredients like water, sugar, tea leaves, milk. These are all inputs you would require, and what you'll get in response means output. Of course, when you're trying to make a cup of tea, you'll get a tea as the output. And the process in this is you have to boil all the ingredient and in a bowl, and you have to filter it, strain it. Let us come to the ports and cables. So this is the back side of a typical, say, desktop PC or a personal computer. Now here we have different port. Port is nothing but the medium or the point where the data is transferred into the system and out of the system, means inside and outside. So first of all, these two, as you see here in the blue and green color, these are PS2 ports. These are very simple 6-pin low speed serial connections. Serial connection means data go one by one, means this will come only after this and they'll go serially. So if you select to use this USB keyboard and mouse, you can easily disable PS2, because nowadays most of the keyboard and mouse, they come with the USB port, right? Then we have VGA monitor. You see this connection, because this is a female, this is a male. So the connection is done like this, that you connect the VGA monitor. This is a cable for connecting the video VGA display unit with this particular PC or a system. So VGA means a video graphic array. This is used to connect the monitor, the display device, to the computer, and it has a very good resolution, and from the bunch of, or from the palette of 262144, is able to show you 256 color. So the resolution also vary. It may have 320 by 400 and 640 by 480. Then the parallel port, as you see here, this is the parallel port. Parallel port data is not like this, but like this. So the data, this one goes simultaneously with this one, and the data is nothing but 0110 type things only. So printers and other devices, they can be either parallel or serial. So most of the printers, they are parallel port. Ethernet port, this is the Ethernet port. This is for connecting to the network or wired network. And you see most of the broadband routers, if you have it in your home, they use this Ethernet port. Then you have S video port. This is your S video port. So if you want to connect actually S video is for super video, short form of super video. See, these monitors, they are designed to show RGB signals, while the television or the others, because monitor is somewhat you can say specific to this technology, computer technology, but the TV technology has some other thing to show, means luminance, luminance, etc. So you want to convert these two, or you want to connect these two. For that, this is a port, SVDA port. You need, of course, to have this is a female jack and this is a male jack. USB port, these are certain USB port, 4 USB port, as you can see. So as I said earlier also, we have come up to 3.1 and this is quite high. The speeds are very good. USB, this is actually a protocol. Universal Serial Bus is a protocol. Protocol means the guidelines, the electronic and the physical characteristics. This comes under the protocol, what exactly protocols are. So various digital cameras and memory card readers, they are connected to the USB port, and USB card readers are typically faster than the camera and readers that connect to their serial port. You have this Firewire also. This is quite fast. So it supports around 12 Mbps of data transfer of Firewire. One more aspect of a USB port is that a single USB port can be used to connect around 127 peripheral devices, means other devices like the mouse, the modem, and keyboard, like this. And the important thing is, previously, 10 years or 15 years back, when you used to connect the mouse and keyboard, you have to restart the computer because it won't work. But now the USB has allowed us for plug and play and hot plugging capability. That is, you connect your mouse or keyboard or any other device which is USB, which uses USB, you connect and it will start, and you disconnect, it will stop. You don't have to restart the system again and again. Then you have this port which is called as Firewire, IEEE 1394. So this is a cabling technology for transferring data to and from the digital devices at very high speed, and this is made by Apple Computer. This actually IEEE is you can say a standard making institution. So it has given a 1394 IEEE 1394 code or number to this Firewire. Then you have this mini audio jack. Of course, we are interested in listening to the songs and recording our voice. These are all done by these audio jacks. So let us summarize what we have learned. Data is what? Data is the collection of unprocessed, not processed facts, figures and symbols. And information is that form of data which is actually being organized, meaningful, and is useful also for our decision making purposes. The hardware refers to the component that can be seen or touched. That means they are tangible. So it consists of input devices, the output devices, the system units, the storage devices, and communication devices. Also, software is a set of instructions that tells the computer to perform or do certain tasks. Then we have seen the primary memory, which helps in very fast execution of the program, and it comprises of RAM or ROM. Then you have secondary memory. You also call it as auxiliary memory. So it helps in storing the data permanently using the available storage devices like the hard disk, the DVD, and the USB. And the operating system is the computer program that will manage all the other programs stored in the computer. The IPO is input process output cycle. Every system has to do is following this scenario only. You have to feed a good, because it follows the garbage in, garbage out. You have to give the inputs, proper inputs, so that you get the proper result. And most keyboard, they are now attached with USB port, and previously it was PS2. And pointing device, they are through serial port, PS2, mouse port, or USB port. And also, if you want to secret or hide your data while sending, or while mostly in the transmission it is done. So this process of decoding and encoding is called the encryption and decryption. So this was all about the first chapter, computer and its components. We'll be taking next chapters in the next session. Thank you so much.